Welcome back once again. Now, Nigerian theater is the subject. Once a vibrant force in the nation's cultural landscape, experienced a significant decline in the 1990s, overshadowed by the rise of Nollywood television and also the burgeoning influence of social media. Who can forget? However, in recent years, there has been a notable resurgence, particularly among the younger generation eager to revive the stage. Some initiatives have empowered Nigerian youth through performing arts, addressing critical issues such as social media addiction and also peer pressure, and fostering a movement of self-expression and social change. Despite the resurgence, challenges persist. The dominance of digital content, coupled with limited infrastructure and funding, poses significant hurdles. Yet the renewed interest and efforts by young creatives signal a potential turning point. So, to delve deeper into this revival and its prospects, we are joined by two very interesting individuals here with us inside of the studio. First up, we have Ibi Kontein. She's founder and creative director of Sabi Arts, a platform that is dedicated to nurturing and showcasing Nigerian theater. And also Mercy Jackson, who is an actor. A stage actor, let's put it so. Ladies, you are welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Grand.
Thank you for coming on.
Judith, please, let's begin with our guests here.
Oh, yeah, I mean, a revival. Would you say it's a revival or re-emergence?
I'd say it's the evolving of theatre, and theatre is evolving because the audience has evolved. Right. So producers and directors had to change storytelling, adjust that to what the new audience demands. If not, you're not going to have people showing up to plays. In terms of if theatre is fading out, we have adjusted because people are looking to see stories that they can relate to. You do not want to dwell more on historical plays or things like that. People want to come and have a shared experience. So it's an evolving.
It's evolving. And would you say the same as well, Messi? Is it evolving for you, or it's a re-emergence?
Well, yeah, I think it's an evolving, like she said, she just basically explained it, because our audience has changed, and so we have to change.
Has the audience changed? You are on stage more.
Yeah.
And you're the one who's interpreting all the roles and characters for the audience. So how have they changed?
So the way they are more reactive to the things that we say, to the stories that we tell, and the way they relate to it, because we tell stories that they relate to. And, at some point, you see how they react to the things that we say. So, yeah, that's the evolving.
Okay. I'm going to say let's unplug this for a second there and then replug it. Let's take a look at what theater used to be like back in the 80s or 90s. 80s? No. 90s maybe.
80s and 90s.
But it was really robust. It had that grr about it back in the 80s, and then all of a sudden it left. I'm wondering what factors were responsible, or challenges perhaps might have been responsible for it seemingly dying, and what's responsible for it coming back now. I see a lot of young people like yourselves who are into theater, and I'm wondering what hope for it, especially as it battles like the factors that we've mentioned, the social media, especially social media. There is attention span. People can't stay focused for longer than 20 seconds anymore. This is because of social media, your scrolls and everything. So to stay in one spot and watch an hour and 40 minutes of theater could be very challenging for most people mentally. So take a look at the 80s, the 90s, and theater, and then compare it to what we have now. And what's different?
The one thing that we had then that we still have now is the interactive part of theater. Because it is a live experience, it's an immersive experience. Nothing beats that intimacy, right? And then it started to fade out because then streaming platforms came into the mix. And like you mentioned, attention spans became shorter. So people were looking for what is the fastest means of entertainment for me. I'm not going to go to the theater to see a play when I can, stay at the comfort of my home and stream a movie. And why it started coming back is because, again, the intimacy returned. When younger people started getting, into theater, we know what works for us, what would make me sit through a play. It's the same thing that would make someone my age or 10 years older or younger sit through that same play. So personally, I write very interactive plays because if I want to convince you to sit through an hour, 40 minutes, it has to be, is this person enjoying this experience? you may not necessarily enjoy an experience that you cannot relate to a story that you cannot understand, right? So with theater, there is a lot of callback and response because that is the beauty of a live performance. There are lines written particularly for the audience to respond. And if it is delivered right, if the blockings are done right in directing, if the actors deliver it right, then it works. And that is why you have people sitting through an hour, 40 minutes and telling you, oh, I did not know that so much time had happened. When next are you doing a play? Because that callback and response, they see a story they relate to. You use proverbs and things that, they know the ending of. So that punchline deliver because they know the callback response. So that intimacy, that interactive nature, it's been brought back.
But hasn't it always been? Because I remember also 80s, 70s, and even 90s and early 2000s, when you look at the wire curriculum or any examination class curriculum, there were plays in it. Olaro to me, Husbands Have Gone Mad Again, The Gods Are Not to Blame. There were plays
remember that one.
that we read as curriculum. You had to write an examination in that, whether you're doing literature or even in junior secondary. And there was call and response on there, and so you're a creator as well. How are you borrowing from the past and incorporating contemporary future in your piece?
So the one thing, again, that I have brought in is that interactive nature. Now, why it sort of faded out, why what happened in the 80s and 90s, sort of faded out before it's been brought back now, is because these are not stories that people now can relate to. If an Olaro Timi or an Elechi Amadi was to come back and do that work, it would sell to an older audience, right? But it would not sell to a younger audience. And these
are you trying to call us old? It's okay, we get it. Sorry.
No.
I understand.
But these are the people that are coming, to see plays today. So we have to construct that for them. Now, if you were to do an adaptation of an Olaro Timi play or The Woman of Calabar, Her Husband Has Gone Mad Again, Elechi Amadi, all that would have to be rewritten, right? It cannot be a page-by-page adaptation. You have to infuse the things that are happening now into that.
So how are you doing that with your own play? With your own work?
I would really like for Mercy to actually tell us, because you see the audience, you interpret these roles for the audience. So have the audience changed? How are you bringing the old ones, the young ones together with the same expression?
Okay. Honestly, I think a lot of the work goes to the writer and the director, because that's where the words that the actors speak, that's where it comes from, right? And so that's the writer will bring those, will merge it. The actions that we take, the steps, everything that we do on stage is what is in the script, right? And the person directing has that vision.
So when you say writer, do you mean the screenwriter?
No.
Or the writer?
The script writer.
The script writer.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, Mercy, the trajectory of actors have changed.
Okay.
Back in Mommy Joke Silva and the greats, they started on stage and then they metamorphosed to become on the silver screen.
Yeah.
Right now it's the reverse, right? People are going from social media, silver screens to stage performance. I wonder how it's like for you, and whether that puts pressure on you as a performer.
Oh, personally, it doesn't. I believe art. I experience art in stage. I personally, this is just a personal view, right? And I think it is deeper there because there's a lot of expression. There's a lot that
the stakes are higher.
Yes, there's a lot that you have to do. It takes a lot of concentration because your audience is right in front of you and you're saying something that is funny. If you're going to want to laugh, they are going to be laughing and you have to, control that. And so I think I don't feel challenged. I don't feel scared. I don't feel worried. They should come.
Yeah, but what about, we live in a very capitalist society, right? And I think that people associate actors and actresses with the glam, the high fashion. Social media doesn't make it any easier as well. I'm not saying that your job is not well paying, but there seems to be some sort of, it's not as glamorized as those on social media and the silver screen. Does that not put you off, completely?
True. That's very true what you said. But I always go personal because everybody has their different views, different, But personally, I don't really care about that. Even if I were to be on the social media limelight and all of that, it's going to be this way, I would want you to experience me in person, on stage, live experience, and then, yeah.
Let's look at it from a social standpoint now. We used to have the National Theatre, which was the big forum for people to go and see these grand stage plays. Now, you had a couple at the Muson Center, and I think there are other little spots where people can go to for intimate gatherings in the evening.
That's what they do
improv and
at
stuff
the Terra
like that.
Culture, where it's on the field outside, the lawn outside.
It's very grand, but do you see us going back to the heyday of theatre from what it was back in the 80s with your efforts as young people? Do you think that we have the infrastructure even to accommodate this passion that you guys are bleeding out with now?
We do not have the infrastructure yet, but it's coming. And why I say this with all confidence is because the younger people that are coming into theatre are determined to make it work. Back then, there was the infrastructure, right? And it was not maintained. Currently, again, there are very few spaces.
It wasn't just the infrastructure, it was the culture around the infrastructure.
Exactly.
You had the National Theatre where people would go, even if they had no business there, but they just...
And there were plays showing.
It fed off of and on their passion. So those kinds of forums don't seem to exist anymore. Where would I go to if I was very passionate? If I was passionate about sports, I'd go to stadium. I don't need to have a ticket. But if I was passionate about theatre, where do I go to now? Even the National Theatre doesn't stand as such a structure anymore. So that's a challenge, isn't it?
It's a challenge, and that's why, again, the younger people that are currently bringing this back, we're coming back with our full passion and our full confidence, and we're determined to make it work, right? All the infrastructure that's lacking, we are planning to bring this back. And even the culture, it starts from us, right? There are no plays that I have done where I haven't brought at least 90% of my friends to come. So now they know, okay, this is an activity, this is a thing that they can look forward to. Is it as frequent as it was back then where, you know, over the weekend you could go to the National Theatre and see a play? No, not yet. Because we do not have dedicated venues to that purpose yet. As a producer, I outrightly have to rent, you know, venues to stage plays, and it's expensive. It is. Right? Except you want to work with, you know, maybe a restaurant that has an outdoor space or things like that. Then you have to do immersive theatre to sort of fit the space that you have, work with what's available, right? But the younger people were working towards bringing back the infrastructure and the culture. I was having a conversation with a fellow producer, and what our goal is, you know, in the next 10 to 15 years, is for people to be able to say, you know, this weekend, I want to go see a play, and there's a play showing that I can go see, you know, either at this place or that place. It will come back. It's going to take a while, but that culture will come back.
I'm still on that culture base. It seems a bit, I don't know, Judith, help me out here, elitist currently. It's not affordable. Back in the 80s, football, National Theatre.
Hang on.
Play.
These people's gotta eat. Okay. These people's gotta eat. Okay. And there's a few
But
that's
it's expensive.
Yeah.
Is my points. And making it affordable for people to come and see and push that. You know, I'm eager to see.
But they are. All right. At the sake of, you know, making a case for them.
Are you an actor?
Yes, now. It's not acting. I'm acting here.
You should become one.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that there are shows that where and kudos to you guys, right? And kudos to everyone who's continuing to champion this renaissance, is that there are shows that you can do, that they do outside on the lawn where it's a one-man, two-man play, and they constantly, you know, advertise, and you see 5K, 10K with a drink.
5K is even still much.
I
mean, I'm talking for... Mercy, why are you looking at me with a side eye?
I want to buy that car.
You would go to the movies and pay 6K for a ticket, right?
Yeah.
And not
whack him again for me.
And not everyone goes to the movies. That's my point. You see, because it's expensive, there are people who haven't been to the movies for 3 years now.
Exactly. And so the cheapest option is to stay on your phone and, you know, stream something.
Which is a challenge you have to battle.
Yes.
As a theater entrepreneur.
I guess the solution here is community-based and community-based numbers. How are you building communities to know that you are selling because at this time where social media is so populated, people are now looking for communities and community-based services to sell. How are you building communities to drive numbers for your play?
So we work with people in the art field, you know, book clubs and their members, art exhibition, you know, houses and their members or the artists signed up with them, because these are the people that, you know, would likely want to come see a play, right? And it's from, oh, I invite this person and you invite this person. Because at the end of the day, right, the people that say, I've never seen a play, Then they see a play and, oh, I love a play. But
Yeah, we've got one. Maver is a producer. Maver had never seen a play in her
Wait,
life.
Amazino.
So Maver saw a play. I think it was one of your plays. Maver saw a play
Yesterday.
only just a couple of yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
And she hasn't stopped singing the songs from it, Maver. Maver, yes, exactly. That is called a play. Just so you know.
I'm so sorry. You see why?
Young people don't know what theater is.
But away from theater, right? I want to talk about the intersection of modernity and our contemporary time and tradition. The plays back in the day had the element of tradition. And I mean, our languages, you know, you had the songs, you had the refrain in the middle where they come out and they sing traditional songs.
Yeah.
How are you staying true in terms of incorporating the traditional elements of whether it's a popular wazobia, which is